saying that ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode.
Do you really wanna taste it? What's going up must come down. The sentence that every 15-year-old boy says before they go down on a girl for the first time. What? Huh? Who said that? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to episode 237, okay? And if you're like, where did Evan go? Is he been replaced by a human frog? Yeah, your boy shaved his facial hair. It has been, I think it's been like 7-8 months. I think this is a transformer. Just sound like Mark Wahlberg. That's my Mark Wahlberg impression. Anytime you ever want to emulate him, all you do is you be out of breath and you just make it a question. Huh? You just repeat what people say. If people are like, hey, is that your burger? Huh? Is that my burger? What do you mean, is that my burger? Yeah, that might be my burger. Anyway, stupid, hacky. Listen, the last thing you want to see is a comedian doing impressions. You have to be goddamn phenomenal impressions to pull them off. But let's not digress that your boy is sitting here with no upper lip, looking like a human frog or some kind of cartoon fish. Okay? I look more like a bird than a human when I shave my face. And you might be thinking, oh, is Evan having a midlife crisis? And he just decided to renew himself. No, this was accidental. Sometimes, being a creative person, you get a little exotic with the clippers and you're like, you know what? Let me just clean this up a little bit. And by the end of it, it looked like your boy's mustache. It was looking more at home on a piece of wood, emulating a caterpillar moving across. Okay? That's what it looked like. It looked like I had a caterpillar that had taken refuge on my face. All right? And this caterpillar just found a little home and it was like, I'm just going to stay here for a while until I burst into a butterfly. And I was like, well, as someone who's on stage most nights of the week, I can't be up there trying to tell jokes and having the whole front row be like, I didn't know this was a wilderness exhibit, and I'm getting a TED Talk on caterpillars that decide to find homes on people's faces. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes you just got to start over. You just got to shave everything and start over. Because you know what also looks weird is when you just shave your mustache and you just have facial hair here. Okay? And listen, my facial hair is on, it's on wobbly legs. Okay? It looked like it just got head kicked by Anderson Silva and it doesn't really know where it's at. It's already shaky. All right? You ever seen Bambi? When Bambi first starts walking on the ice? That is what my facial hair is holding on to. All right. It is just barely classified as a beard. All right. Some people can grow magical beards and great facial hair. It just works on them. God loves them more. Not your boy. Okay. I wasn't blessed in that department. But here's also the other thing. I feel like men, they use beards as makeup. Like, beards can lie. Beards can hide a lot. And there's a lot of men running around there with beards to hide their insecurities. Okay? Listen, I'll shave it down. It'll be back in a week. I can go a week bearing my frog, half human, half frog face. Okay? And some people are like, Evan, you don't necessarily look like a frog. I've gotten an eagle before that I look like a bird. Naturally, my face has a very feathery friend definition, apparently. And I'm okay with it. And I'm okay with dead air on a podcast. But some people with their beards, dude, some guys, it becomes an extension of who they are. Like it's their personality. Like there's a lot of dudes who are like, they think people are silly with like, their pronouns are like, oh, look at those they, thems coming. There's dudes who are like, me beards, you know, like they identify as a bearded person, you know, like where it's just like, this is who they are. Like it's a culture. Like they just, you know, ever since they were a baby, they're like, ever since I was a fucking baby, dude, I knew one day I just would have a beard and I would just be that dude. I just fucking drink my IPAs and I just look off in the distance, you know, with my fucking beard. I wear a flannel shirt. Maybe I dip a little bit. Fucking never chopped wood in my life, but I just fucking sit here stroking my beard. And I'll be honest, it's a great thing. Even the little facial hair I had, I just would sit there and just play with it. It's always a go-to, and you just seem wiser. When you're sitting here thinking and you're just like this, just kind of twiddling it, just playing around with it. People think you're 7% smarter. Okay. I don't know. I've never done an IQ test. I don't think intelligence is like my greatest attribute, but I'm sure an IQ test you'd get a few extra points if you had some kind of beard. And while you're taking the test, they might just, if they see you kind of play with it a little bit, they might give you a little bump up on the score. Remember that thing with was it the SATs or the AP, whatever the test was in high school that I didn't take, where if you just signed your name, they gave you points. How terrible are Americans at school that were like, hey, if you just write your fucking name on the test, we'll give you 150 points. The future's fucked. But anyway, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. That was the longest intro of all time. All right. Welcome to the podcast. I hope you guys are having a great week. Today it is, for me, it's Wild Card Wednesday, baby. It's Wild Card Wednesday. Okay. What that is, Wednesdays are pretty much a normal weekend for me, except working half the day in the morning, podcasting. Other than that, I try to have Wednesdays be like a fun day, because when you work for yourself, why am I going to be tethered to only doing shit on the weekends? Okay. When am I going to go out when everybody else is out? And I'm like, half the day, I'm just like, yeah, I love being in traffic. Yeah, I love being in crowded restaurants. Yeah, I love waiting. Yeah, I love being, you know, in the back of a movie theater. I don't know why that last one really matters. Anyway, yeah, Wild Card Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I might go fishing today. Okay, I'm going to Cabela's. I've had a gift card for Cabela's burning a hole in my pocket since Christmas. Okay, since fucking Christmas, it's been burning a hole in my pocket. And you know what? It's being used today. Okay, I'm either going to get myself some nice fishing gear. Who knows, maybe some hunting stuff. And just get back out there. I'm going to look at some more guns while I'm there. Okay, why have I not gotten an automatic rifle since I've been in, almost said Puerto Rico, since I've been in Texas? Okay, why am I still bullshitting? I'm over here, I need to get me an MP7, well, MP5, something automatic. I want a gun so that if a team of people ever try to break in the middle of the night, I literally am just going to go wrong house and then, you know, ideally I would want a pit with alligators. Like if I could really build a crazy thing, it would be alligators, you know, because then I could like, you know, play with them during the day. And more than just play with them, kind of just like let them swim around and I just observe. Okay. Because listen, no, I don't want to play with no alligator and no alligator wants to play with me. But if I was going to get an exotic pet, I don't know. I've always been someone who loved animals ever since I was a little kid. I've always been into animals, from, you know, having hamsters to rats, snakes. Dude, I got a snake when I was a kid. You ready for the most original name ever? Snakey. Snakey. They said, Evan, what do you want to name that thing? Fucking add a Y to that bitch and let's call it a day. Just Snakey. Okay. But I had Snakey and I'll never forget this. Snakey came with a 21-day return period. For some reason, they were like 21 days should give you enough time for you to be in charge of this Snakey. I get Snakey home, put Snakey in the aquarium. Snakey was like a little green snake. And I thought Snakey was dope. Snakey would like, I'm pretty sure I would hold Snakey and everything and just, get him to trust me, let him like kind of like suckle on my teat. Just kidding. And, but the issue was Snakey ate crickets and I had crickets for Snakey. Snakey wasn't eating any of the crickets. And for the first week, I'd be putting, crickets in there and Snakey just wouldn't eat them. He was just like, hey, friends, welcome to our home. This is a fucking, what are those group things where people just live together, like a homestead where they're just like, everybody's part of it. It was like a commune. And he was just like, let's just all do this together. So these crickets, thinking that they were doomed to die instantly, they started, a life for themselves. They were, I'm pretty sure there was like a mayor and there was couples, and because I kept adding more crickets, and I'm like, well, maybe he just doesn't like the look of that cricket, and I would add a new cricket in there, and then it was like, well, maybe that one had too thin of legs, and then I'd put that one in there. I'm like, well, maybe he didn't like that one's politics, and then after about 5 to 7 days, I call the pet store and I'm like, hey, Snakey isn't eating anything. And they're like, who the fuck is Snakey? So I'm like, okay, let me tell you, this is the green snake I bought, blah, blah, blah. Not eating anything. And so they're like, okay, we'll try different crickets. I'm like, okay, I got a whole goddamn town of them in there, but okay, I'll try different crickets. I go to a different pet store. I get bigger crickets because there was like, you could get the jumbos and you get the little fellers. And then Snakey doesn't go for those either. I'm starting another community. Now I'm having rival gangs of crickets in there. Snakey's not going for any of them. And it's getting out of hand. So then I go to another pet store. I buy a different kind of cricket. I get those crickets in there. Snakey doesn't want anything to do with them. And I'm like, hey, Snakey, are you even a snake? Are you even a snake? So then I go to another pet store. Listen, a lot of pet stores where I'm at. I think I just went back and I got the smallest crickets they had because I'm like, dude, something's up with Snakey. I don't know if these crickets are too intimidating to him. I would kill the crickets and I'd be like, and listen, I was catching free range crickets. I was going in the garage at night with fucking thermals, camoed out head to toe, waiting in bushes out front to just hear crickets going. I was catching them free range crickets. And he wasn't eating any of them. So I got these small crickets. He wouldn't eat them. The audacity of Snakey. I don't know what it was, if it was politics, if it was his religion. But at the end of the time, I remember I was even getting I was putting flies in there. I was putting worms, anything to get Snakey to eat it. And I know you're thinking oh, did you try mice? Way too big, dude. If Snakey had gotten to a fist fight with a mouse, he might have lost. Okay, if he beat that mouse, it would have been a split decision. All right, but he would have been in some trouble. Okay, and so 21 days go by, and it's to the point now where Snakey is just. I remember Snakey looking at me through the aquarium and opening his mouth like he was upset and he wanted to attack me. And I was like, dude, Snakey, I'm your friend. I'm your only goddamn friend that you have in this room. No matter what those crickets are telling you, because now it's a small economy of crickets in there. We have all different kinds, shapes, and sizes. I have different nationalities. They're speaking different languages, different races. There's one race war going on. There's a new street. They've named it MLK crickets and all this shit. And there's all this different shit going on with these crickets because I've brought an ecosystem of crickets. We are the world of crickets in this aquarium. Day 22, I wake up. One day past the return period, Snakey's dead. Okay? Snakey died on a hunger strike. And it's fucked up. Okay? It was traumatizing. I felt terrible because had I known on day 20, I would have taken Snakey back. Because, and you're probably thinking, well, why didn't you? Because when I would check in with them, I'd call the pet store. And as a grown man now, I'm like, those fucking people don't know what they're talking about. They're just getting a paycheck. They said, oh, yeah, I need a job. I'm going to work at a pet store. There's no difference between them and a gas attendant. Granted, I'm sure there's some that are really passionate about pets. And I want to be a vet when I get older. The rest of you, go fuck yourself, okay? Because they were just telling me, yeah, this is normal sometimes. They can go weeks without eating, but when they get hungry, he will eat the crickets. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm trusting you, Tabitha. I don't know if that was her name. But that was my one interaction with fucking snakes, where I had a pet green snake, and Snakey, R.I.P., just didn't make it. Okay. I've had a lot of exotic animals. Okay. I had at one point we had a peacock. That was a dope pet. Ducks, pigeons. Listen, it is only a matter of time before your boy gets back to a place where he has pigeons. I don't know if you guys know my 5 to 10 year plan. My 5 to 10 year plan is to live in the house that I'm in now. I'm going to put you guys on game. I'm going to live in this house for 5 to 10 years. Within that time frame, you know your boy has a background in construction. I'm going to line up all the people that I need to hire to help me build a house. 5, 10 years. Listen, the equity in Texas right now, prices are just going up. Your boy is fighting I'm appealing the property tax because they said the value of my house went up too much and they're trying to raise my property taxes. Well, your boy is a 65-year-old man now, okay? Because I just deal with way too much grown-up shit. But 5 to 10 year plan, I'm gonna build. I'm gonna use the equity from this house. I'm gonna buy land outright, and I'm gonna build my dream home. 5, 10 years. That's the goal. Okay. Listen. Here's another pro tip. You're trying to get on game. Look at your life in 5-year goals. What are you gonna do in these 5 years? What are you gonna do in these 5 years? Because I'll tell you, 3-4 years ago, my goal was always to buy, and it was I need to figure out a way to be able to buy a house in 5 years. About 4 years ago, I set that goal, and that was what I was working towards. Was I just knew I couldn't rent forever, and I had to just start getting in the mindset. And by having that mindset, made me go back and start planning. It made me set the goal 5 years down the road, because then it wouldn't be magic. Like when you're sitting there and you're just thinking, how do I get out of this? How do I fucking achieve this goal? If you look at it as like, how do I do this now? It's going to be too overwhelming. You can't, there's always that quote of you can't see the end goal until you take this first step, and the stairs start appearing in the direction you're supposed to go once you take that first step. Bars, borderline kind of woo-saw hippie bars. Okay. But that's what I did is I like 4 years ago, I started like really being like, okay, what would I need to be able to buy a house? And I was like, well, got to make more money. And I was like, okay, how do I do that? Because at that time I was just doing a little bit of merch and running my video business, but it wasn't really making too much money. I was like barely skating by. I had credit card debt and everything. And I knew I just literally set goals where I was like, let's kick off some of this debt. Let's start figuring out a system. Let's find out what my expenses are. Start shaving that shit down. And then I started. And that's the crazy thing is a lot of people always think the goal is like you need to make more money. Sometimes a great start is to trim as much excess money as you can that's going out monthly that you're not aware of, or not realizing that you're using, that much money. And one of the things for me is like I love to eat out. Hey, how you guys doing? Do you really want to taste it? Call back, beginning of the episode. Fucking, I keep it tight. Anyway. And then that would like, dude, if you're eating out twice a week, you cut out once a week over a month period, that's like $200, depending on where you go eat or what you order. It's like $200 for 2 people. But that right there, baby. But just start setting goals, start setting plans. And that's the thing is like, I got this because I set those goals, set those plans, just start doing it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. And then the next goal is going to be a 5 to 10 year plan. I'm hoping more towards 5, is to be able to buy land, build a dope house from, the money I make from selling this house, and then not have a house payment and just pay property tax. And then it's a matter of time before your boy has the dopest pigeon cage you guys have ever seen. All of that said, just to tell you, I'm going to build the dopest pigeon cage there ever was. Okay, because your boy grew up with pigeons. Me and fucking Mike Tyson. Ironically, that's like where my dad grew up, pretty close to Mike Tyson. And on the East Coast, that's where like it's way more common to collect pigeons and to be into pigeon breeding and flying pigeons on the East Coast. I was always the weird homeschool kid, not realizing that it was strange that my first pet was a pigeon, you know? I would tell people, they'd be like, oh, you know, they're like, oh, look at my dog, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. You should see, I have about 60 pets. They're like, oh, what do you have? Pigeons. They're like, the things that are flying around for free? Do you just say they're your pets? I'm like, nah, I keep them in a cage. I'm like, they do tricks. And then people fucking think you're crazy when you say that your pigeons do tricks. And then you have them over and then they actually see that your pigeons can do tricks. You fucking get some rollers. You get them up there flying in the pins. And they just start rolling down. Doing backflips. Got some rollers. I'll do fucking 20 feet right in your face. Just rolling back. Doing like 10 backflips. Fucking flexing on you, motherfucker. Anyway. What's the point of any of that? What was the point of any of that, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, a lot of exotic pets. I had a fire salamander that used to always try to commit suicide. That was cool. I had its tank in the bathroom, weirdly. It was probably just tired of like, dude, I'm tired of seeing everybody in this family take a shit. Like, I'm out of here. And it would crawl out of its, somehow it would jump off this rock, get its little fucking wet fingers over the edge of the tank and pull itself out. Even though it needed to be in water, I would just catch it like in the next room over, just fucking dry, just like a little spaceman that had a limited amount of oxygen, just trying to get back to his ship. That's what this salamander was doing. Let's see. Let's switch gears. Let's get some, enough about me, ladies and gentlemen. I saw before the podcast that Mike Tyson isn't facing charges for beating the shit out of that guy on the plane. And I have to say, this is great news. Okay? Talk shit, get hit. This is amazing. I don't get why, because this happens a lot. There's tons of videos like this where people disrespect Mike Tyson. It's the weirdest thing I'll never understand, of people like invading, personal space, trying to put their arm around him, take pictures like he's a circus animal. And it's literally, like, I think there's some correlations between a lion, a tiger, and Mike Tyson. Like, I think there's something to be said with the way he reacts when you invade their privacy. And I feel like he is almost like animalistic like that. Like, he's very primal and he's very self-aware. And you see the quick to anger of just like, what are you doing? Like, he like will literally like lunge, like as if you were walking by a lion and you tried to grab its tail. That's literally what people are doing when they try to like manhandle Mike Tyson. It's the weirdest shit ever that people do this, where I don't know what it is. I know it happens to celebrities, and I don't know what gives people the idea that shit's okay. Like, I feel like this is where the issue with the internet is when people start believing the idea that social media is real life, that you can act a certain way and have these opinions on social media that like that's what it really is, that you feel okay doing that in person because you have no consequences online. So it comes down to like delusion and mental health and people not being checked or in touch with reality. I see this every now and then, even in the stand-up world, because dude, I go to open mic and I'll see like mental health. Like, I see some people go on stage where I'm like, oh, this is a crazy person. I saw someone recently where they went up and it turned into a weird rant. There was part of it was attacking comedians for, you know, this person thought they weren't being funny, and like then they started attacking the audience for not laughing at them, and then acting like the reason why they weren't laughing was because of the crowd. And it was very weird. And I'm like, oh, this is someone who has created their own narrative in their head. They've been living on a computer somewhere. And trust me, the way this person looked, it looked like this is the case. They've been living on a computer somewhere, just completely detached from reality. And so far so, like gone, that they thought they were living in reality in their own world. That everything they say is really funny. That they should, like, yeah, people need to be laughing at this. Like, it's not me. It's all of you. This is crazy that I'm just in a room of crazy people. You guys need to be laughing at this. And they got very confrontational. And it was really weird. I felt awkward. I ended up leaving near the end of it because I was like, all right, this is getting weird. But yeah, you see some wild shit. Last night I did a set. Listen. Sometimes the best way to do new material is to have a good opener, you know, something that's reliable, something that gets a laugh, get them on your side, and then you stuff in a shit sandwich. You get some good shit, and then you put that new shit in the center, and then you put it in with some more good shit. Like you ride the wave. You get them, hey, blah, 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 get them laughing, and then you put your new stuff in. And then if it's not going well, you go back, you know, you can either stay in the pocket or, you know, then you bring them back with some new stuff or some good stuff. And last night I had this idea, because that's the thing is like, do so many sets sometimes and it's all just work. It's all just practice. It's all just, I'm trying to get better. Unless I'm filming it or something, it's always just, I'm trying to get better at this. That's always just the goal, is every set is just practice, you know, in the sense of it's just, I'm trying to get better. Let me say that 5 more times. But I went on stage and I decided to only do new material. And it was real rocky, shifty, baby, you know, Bambi leg stuff. And oh man, did your boy eat a dick on stage? Oh, I ate a dick. To the point where I hate when I see an audience, like someone look around like waiting for the next comic. They're just like, oh, this guy is so not funny. And it's good because it's such an ego hit. And it's just like, ugh, I am a piece of shit. But I also, it's like you have to do new jokes. And I got greedy. I wanted to do all new shitty jokes for them. And it just didn't go well because I didn't have any of it really memorized. I'm not a comedian that's really good at taking a premise on stage and then fleshing it out in front of them and thinking on the spot. I at least in some capacity need to memorize it and have the lines, you know, not so it sounds rehearsed, like it's just I'm doing a script or something, but like I need to know where the tags are. I need to know where the punchlines are, what the next misdirection is, whatever it is. I need to know, okay, here's the setup, here's the line, blah, blah, blah. Because I went up there and I started doing these jokes and it was getting giggles, but your boy kept forgetting the next line. And then I threw out a line that needed to be set up by another joke. Like I didn't even give the premise, but I said the punchline just to get me ahead to the other joke. And it just wasn't going well. I just kept jumping from idea to idea and I was just eating a dick. But we're able to bring it back a little bit at the end. But you need those sets where they just make you feel like shit about yourself. Especially when you like the night before I had a great set. And then you go do some new material. And then you're like, oh yeah, it is. All new jokes are terrible. You know, sometimes, you know, a premise is funny. And if you say the premise with the one joke, you're like, oh yeah, there's something there. But then, you know, you try to like flesh out a completely a whole bit rather than just kind of a premise punchline. And it's just like, you're force feeding people shit. And let me tell you, crowds don't want to be force fed shit. Okay? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, listen. I just want to tell you guys, I love you. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I actually realized like this podcast helps my comedy so much. It may not seem like that when I'm just ranting and it's just like some of it's not funny. Listen, I appreciate you guys so much because I even noticed that on Monday. I was doing a set and there was this giant sound happening in the back. Like it kept being like boom, boom. And then finally I like commented on it and I was like, went off on this premise. Like, is this a fucking Jurassic World trailer right now? And then it spun off into this like improvised bit about how it would be amazing if dinosaurs showed up in Austin to give all these kids fucking perspective on how life is really, like really is. Like how amazing if they actually face life or death situation. Like would they keep wasting all their money on blue hair dye? And I give that ability to just kind of riff on stage this podcast because I don't really come up here. I don't really sit down here with like a script or any ideas. I have some topics, but the most part, I'm just like, you gotta go. You just gotta say it. You gotta try figuring this shit out. And it helps that ability on stage. So I thank you guys because I get feedback on the podcast. Some people like stuff. Some people hate me. And I'm like, that's cool. It's weird you're still listening, but like, that's cool. One day when years pass, I'll talk about some of the ideas that people have given me for the podcast where I'm like, oh, that's a wacky idea. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to this episode. If you haven't, subscribe on YouTube. We put out more content. If you don't follow me on social media, that's weird. I am Evan Lopez, And remember, no matter what, I still love you.